There we go. Hi, everyone. Good to see some familiar faces here. David, I'm Butler. I'm going to be in Dublin on the
Hello.
5th of May for a hackathon. If you're in town,
Definitely. I will. Look me up, drop me a note. Let's meet up when you're in town.
awesome, great. Okay, thanks ever so much, everybody, for coming. I'll just keep on letting people come um, through the waiting room. So, we've got a really fun interesting webinar today with Oxana, and she'll explain more about that as we move forward. It's going to be about how to help SDRs overcome call reluctance and build confidence on cold calls. But the first thing before we get cracking is I want to ask you to put into the chat the worst, rudest, or funniest thing someone has ever said to you on a cold call. I can see Julia smiling, so that must mean it was a really horrendous thing. So put into the chats the worst, rudest, or funniest thing someone has ever said to them on a cold call. I cold called somebody during their wife's funeral. Yeah, that would do it.
It was a
Yeah.
problem for picking up. Honestly, if I was burying my wife, I would not pick up the phone.
Yeah. So that's a him problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do higher than that? Have we got higher than a cold call somebody during their wife's funeral? Don't let I'll be a Bruce Forsyth and start getting out the higher than that. One of the staff, the prospect was in hospital in A&E, but he's still got a meeting after it. That is very good. Always be closing. I called once to someone and asked for John, and the answer was he is dead. We've all had that, haven't we? When we called somebody and they said, sorry, they've died. Or was it just me and Oksana?
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I've had that before.
Never had that. Oh, Darryl, wait, mate. Wait until you have that. That person say that to you. Um, oh, we got the classic. I want to speak to your CEO and to report you. Yeah, that person has a really interesting life. Um, I got an AI agent to acknowledge that I like HP Source when asking me about HPPCP finance. Okay. And a member of my team had he died. And that was my ex-wife's number, and she's dead to me. Okay. So, Oksana, I'm going to turn it over to you. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me all right, by the way, and see me all right? Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Oksana Andrienko, and it's a real pleasure to be here today and to meet everyone today. I'm really excited about today's topic and about sharing a practice of effective cold calling, which really resonates with me, my employees and my clients. Two things to mention here. I'm sharing this practice, which works for me as I'm still active cold caller myself, even though I have been SDR leader since 2016. But I like to be hands-on as well. And also, I developed this practice over 15 years of my sales experience. My own experience, obviously, like all the sales training I had for 15 last years, and for like books I read on sales, psychology degrees I got, and also it resonates with my employees and my customers, because I am as a DR leader full time, and then I also run on the side. I run my own small sales training business, so it doesn't have to resonate with everyone. Cold calls are really individual to people, and for some it might work, for some it might not work. So don't take it as the only truth. Just maybe take it as an opinion or just a share of experience. I'll share my screen. Bear with me. And just whilst I'm sharing, I just wanted to let everyone know that what David created is extremely great, isn't it? So we all agree. So everyone can everyone see the screen?
And maybe if you want to expand the into
Yep.
full size.
Just expanded on my laptop. Is it expanding on yours?
No,
No.
you need to put it into presentation mode.
I just did on my screen. Let me just try to do it again.
You might be sharing like your left screen when your presentation mode's on your right screen.
I've got only one screen, guys. I'm not as advanced.
Oh, come off mute. Shut up then.
But let me try again. I'll try to do the whole screen because I previously shared the window. So maybe the whole screen will work. Let's try. Is it working now?
There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, I was saying that it's really great what David created as SDR leaders, and the company itself, or the enterprise, and then also this format of webinars. I really find them useful because they complement each other. Every single topic discussed during these webinars, I find really useful because they come as continuation of each other, really. So, for example, today I'm going to speak about cold call reluctance and how to reframe your brain, or your SDR's brain, if you're SDR leader, to cold call effectively. And this can be a continuation from Samir Jamas last webinar on light discovery conversation, because he was touching base on that a little bit. And then also Jack Blair's how to build confidence as well. They all like create 360 degrees of the overview or outlook on the SDR's life, professional life, which is really great. So thank you, David. Just a introduction I already obviously gave about myself a little bit, what I do. And I joined, just to point out, as I said, I joined as an SDR. I joined the SDR path, if you wish, back to 2011. And then I got my first SDR leader job in 2016. But when I joined in 2011, which was 15 years ago, I wasn't given any training on cold calling. And I joined as a telemarketer. It was back then called. And then I was given a landline phone and a script and a bunch of contacts I had to reach out to sell them banking conference. And I was told no, or I was rejected 24, I think, times on my first day. I still remember that. And I hated it. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I hated cold calling back then because there was no training whatsoever. Now I love cold calling, as crazy as it sounds. And I think that the right mindset really helps. Like if anyone has a fear of cold calling, then it's just about reframing your mindset. It sounds really easy. It's not really that easy. I'll touch base on it a little bit. Any questions so far? Okay.
None in the chat, but if people do have questions that they want to ask, put it in the chat and I'll call on you as Oxana goes through.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yes, reframing mindset and everything. Let's just touch base on contents. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna speak about reasons for cold call avoidance. First, why SDRs avoid. I was gonna say avoid cold calling. That's because they're afraid of something. So we discussed that a little bit, and then we will go straight to reframing those fears into productive cold call mindset. And then we speak about cold call structure, and this is very personal. I think everyone can have their own, even like any SDR, which is a professional SDR already, they must even have their own cold call structure, and it's again very different for everyone. For example, I had in a previous work, I had my manager who absolutely was disagreeing with my cold call structure, but he still let me use it because he knew it was working for me. It wasn't working for him. He didn't use it. So yeah, it's just, again, my opinion. And then we'll touch base on, I think everyone, well, a lot of people know this technique, 7 touch points to warm up a cold call, but we'll just touch base a little bit on that. And then, because I'm a mental health first aider certified with UK entity, I would like to also introduce the topic about sales stress relief techniques applicable to cold calling, basically how to survive SDR job, and also sales manager's job, because both are quite stressful. So just going to share some really useful tips on how to avoid stress, or reduce rather stress at work if you are in the sales field. So let's crack on then. The first slide on this topic is the reasons for cold call avoidance. There are lots of them. I'm sure we can all name at least 30, but I think this for me, from what I hear from my employees, from I remember from when I was just starting, or from my clients, I just think this four are, I would say, the most common ones or important ones.
Oksana, before you continue, could you just remove there's that bar
Oh.
for the Zoom, if you could just move that. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, I didn't know it was there. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you so much. No, that's fine. Is that okay now?
Yeah, it's good.
Perfect. So you probably saw some Russian here then. You probably were wondering what these Cyrillic letters are. I thought it was only me who could see it. Anyway, I'm Russian myself. So let's crack on to fear of being rejected. That's the first one, which I think the most popular one, or the most common one. How to deal with that? Two things probably, which I would like to cover here. First, use this data as research. So don't obviously try not to. I would say don't is really it's hard to fulfill, but try not to. That's what I'm saying to my SDRs. Try not to take it personally, and instead try to see it as the data gathering. So if they say no, we're not, if they don't pick up the phone, obviously call the next one. That's not even been rejected. But if over the call the client, the prospect is saying no, we're not interested, then ask why. What's the reason for that? If they're obviously, you can feel their attitude, you can feel their voice, you can hear their voice, whether they're smiling, whether they're very annoyed. So it's up to you to decide whether to continue or not. But if they're rejecting you, you don't have anything to lose anyway. So just ask the question, like, why not? Why you don't need us? And then they would tell you, oh, because we have it in house. And oh, okay, in house. Oh, cool. So just ask the questions and use it as a research. They already told you no. So just at least try to benefit from this no for your later calls, because you would gather this information and you would know already probably how to deflect it in the future. So try to use it as data research. That's the first option. And also, I like saying to the SDRs, you didn't have this meeting booked before the call. Now you're calling, and then they say no to you. You won't have this meeting booked after the call. So there is literally zero to lose. You didn't lose anything. You didn't have this meeting before. You don't have it after. Nothing to lose. So this is also helping them, I think, to relax a little bit and to see that it's really not that scary. So that's the first fear of being rejected. Feeling they're too pushy. When they say, oh, sometimes I feel too pushy, Oksana, I feel I'm just like annoying them, this is very important to change. I mean, this mindset is, because in the sales, we're not about being pushy, right? We're not pushing sales. We are helping solving the client's problems, okay? We are saving them from their problems. So this is a very important part to adopt, what I call the business owner's mindset. I will talk about it in the next slide, but just in a nutshell, this is the mindset which helps the SDRs to be equal to the prospect on the cold call. So they're not downgrading them. So they're not saying, hi, John, are you free right now? It's Oksana. No, I'm not. Okay, thank you, bye. Okay. Not like this, but concise, confident, like business owner, basically. Hi, I'm Oksana Drienko representing ABC. Are you available right now? No? Okay. Can we book a meeting for tomorrow, 2 p.m.? Oh, why? Okay, because I would like to talk to you, So more confident. And this equalizes you as a SDR or as a person who is a cold caller, and the prospect, because otherwise, when they feel that they're too pushy, they're downgrading their importantness. So that's the second one. The third one is fear of sounding incompetent, which is also it's normal for beginners because they all read from the script. I read from the script in 2011, and it was absolutely normal. So in order to, stop fearing, stop being scared of sounding incompetent, just practice, rehearsing all the time with their peers, their managers, their parents, their cats, their dogs, whatever, rehearsing all the time. And also introducing business owners mindset here as well, because sometimes even I can see that even the experienced SDRs who are there for 2, 3, 4 years, they sometimes start sounding like a little bit, not incompetent, but a little bit, I would say, shy or less excited or something. And then I ask them, and they say, "Yeah, I kind of feel a bit. I feel a bit uneasy about it. A little bit. I kind of afraid of sounding like that." And then it sometimes appears that they stopped believing in the product. I had a couple of cases like that before, and this is important to notice and important to speak about it with an SDR. If you sort of suspect they lost the confidence in the product, they will not book the meetings, because in what you don't believe. And I had, in my experience, I had a product which I didn't believe in, and I had to actually leave the company because I couldn't do that anymore. But sometimes they don't believe in the product, but they don't understand it completely. Maybe they have some understanding, but if you sit with them, if you explain to them as being a sales manager, if you explain to them the real case studies a bit more in depth, some other information they didn't hear about the product, then they will regain the confidence in the product, and they will keep doing that. So it's very important to recognize that one as well. And then the last one is fear of losing control. That's very easy. Very easy. That's the easiest one to deflect. Oh, Oxana, I'd rather send an email, like a cold email, rather than cold call. Yeah, because it gives me more control. I can be in control over email. It's an illusion. Being in control over email is an illusion, because when you email, a cold email, so the person didn't hear about you before, you give them an option not to reply at all. They are in control of not replying if they don't want to, or they could reply, "Sorry, I'm not interested." And then and then the SDR emails them back, "Sorry, what's the reason for you not being interested?" I mean, if they want to, of course. And then they can ignore them again. So this is illusion of being in control over email, and not cold call. Cold call is a cold call is the king of control. Just came up with that actually yesterday when I was rehearsing this presentation. I was recording myself, as I said before, rehearse. And I came up with that cold call is a king of control. So funny, but it's actually true, because you are in control of your questions. Or SDR is in control of their topics to discuss, time to propose for a meeting. Real control, and not the emails, of course. So that's it for this one. So call avoidance. Any questions were in the chat, or perhaps in person?
Yeah, I think there's something that's really popping up, which is about from Paul about environments, seeing in office environments how it hasn't really fully recovered since COVID, and about people being distracted by hearing calls on the floor. So it's been really interesting to see some of the suggestions here. I think this is really goes back to this piece around as you said, fear of being rejected, being too pushy, or sounding incompetent. It's been really interesting to see what people have been doing to try and actually fix that.
So as I understood, there are two kind of like sort of topics. The one of them is on the floor, but when it's an open space, people are a little bit scared of being overheard. Is that the question? So how to deal with that? Was the first question?
Yeah, that was, and then people were just giving each other help and advice on that.
Yeah. So I think because I can't see unfortunately I can't see the comments because I only share my screen. I can't even see myself or anyone. All I can see is my presentation, unfortunately. Sorry, I can't read it now. But just to give you my opinion, again, when I started back to 2011 and I was working in that company for 6 years, 3 years as SDR, and then I was promoted to hands-on SDR. So I was still cold calling SDR leader. I was still cold calling, but I was SDR leader as well. So back then we were like 5 people sitting together and cold calling. So we actually there are two things. The first thing to consider is if a person is cold calling on their own in the office and nobody else is cold calling, they can be scared of how they sound or whether they're too loud. I was always so loud. Everyone was talking to me like, just not that loud. I've got like naturally loud voice, and I was in choir when I was a kid. So for me, it was very hard to kind of be a little bit less loud. So they can be a bit concerned about that. Uh, it's absolutely normal. I think whenever they practice more. So right on my previous job, I was the only one cold caller in the office. Like 6 years ago, and my employee was actually in another country. So I was a SDR leader, but my employee was in another country, so we couldn't really possibly be together sitting there. And she was calling from another country, and then we were talking together. So for me, I just practiced a lot, and I tried to overcome this fear of, oh my god, I'm sounding like anyone can hear me. No, I think again, it's hard to reframe, but what helped me is when I sounded confident, I became proud of my work. I became proud of me speaking, because people tend to be afraid of talking, over the phone in front of others. And I think if you overcome this as an SDR, this fear, and you become sort of a golden standard around other people in the office, they would be like, wow, they can do it, amazing. They would actually be proud of you, and you would be proud of yourself. So practice. Don't be afraid of people overhearing you. First of all, they do their own thing. If you're not loud, if you're like normal tone, they do their own thing. They don't even care about you sometimes. But people who do care, they would just listen to you for 2 minutes, and then they would come back to their own things. If your boss is listening to you, of course, it's a different thing. Then again, just I think bosses, because I'm an SDR manager myself, so I love hearing people talk in the office. I love when they don't call. I'm concerned what's happening, why are they not calling, why they're silent. If they call, no matter how they sound, I really like it, because first of all, because they're doing their job, and I'm later like, okay, good. And then if I overhear how they sound, then I can give them a feedback. And Jack Blair was talking about it, how to give a good feedback, like asking a question, can I give you a feedback about the call? If the call was good, do you want to talk about it? This kind of thing. So it's a really, really complicated answer I gave, sorry. And I hope you did find it useful. But it's a really difficult thing, and it's really different for everyone, and it's a different situation if you're at the office in the open space. If you call in front of your peers, do you care about them? No, because they're also calling, right? If you call about it in front of other people, do they care? Maybe a little bit. If you're too loud, it will annoy them, like I was annoying everyone else. So they would tell you like, it's just like, be a bit quieter. I'm like, okay, sorry. And if you call in front of your manager, I think they would love that you're calling, if you're the SDR. So it's good. It's better rather than SDRs are not calling at all. Any other thoughts about it, or all good?
I think it's just people having the conversation about about ideas and ways of solutions. Simon mentioned about another issue is that people get quieter out of respect for the call taking place, which then grows the silence impact. We have also embraced the radio to have background buzz. Another way to build confidence here is to introduce power hours for all teams in GTM, SDRs alongside AEs. The fear of the call at the desk removes even outside of this activity.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very, very insightful as well. I'm pleased that there is a discussion around it because it's a complex question and very important one. And I remember from my own experience that it was a topic of discussion previously as well. Shall we crack on to the next slide? So, as I promised, cold call mindset. What I mean by that, and I already touched a little bit on that, but I'll deep dive deeper on that. So, business owners' mindset in the cold calling is when you are not sounding in a really simple words. You're not sounding, as I said before. Hi, this is Oxana. Can I talk to you? No, okay, bye. Not like that. But you're sounding relaxed, confident, concise, like as if you were an owner of the business you're working for. So if you work for Microsoft, imagine that you're Bill Gates. If you work for Tesla, imagine you're Elon Musk. And what would you feel if that was your business, the business you're working for? How would you feel, like as your CEO? What would you feel? You probably would feel, or SDRs would feel relaxed. They would feel confident. They would feel concise. They would feel calm. They would feel like they value themselves and their time, and they value their prospects' time, because they're calling not because to bother them or to annoy them. They're calling them to solve their problems, to help them, to make their business better. And they know that the business owners, the SDRs who adopt the business owners mindset, they know that they're calling with such a great reason that they bring value rather than they annoy. So that's all sales is about. We can't downgrade ourselves in this situation. We have to be equal as an SDR and a prospect. They have to make sure that they're both equal when they call. So that's very important. And also, just to mention here, cold call is actually good for the SDR's health because it releases cortisol, which is hormone of stress, into their system. And a little bit of cortisol, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit is good because it improves the SDR's short-term memory. True story, learned it in University of Cambridge, psychological diploma. So this is very important as well. Maybe it's a little bit, I would say, a little bit complementary. However, it's very important to mention that cold calls are actually good for you. If you're scared, they're good for you. They're good for your system. They're good for your health. So just to summarize what I just said about business owners' mindset and everything, I've got this cold call mantra for SDRs, which is I'm calling. I encourage them, especially the new ones who don't have much experience, to tell this every morning. Obviously, to some extent, if they don't want to, they don't have to. But it's nice to kind of like set up your brain. I am calling because I want to make sure the clients know about how great my services are, and because I want the client to benefit from them. I'm successful, and I want the clients to be as successful as I am with my help. I value my client's time, and I'm relaxed, and I have nothing to lose. So this sort of adopts this business owner's mindset, and their calls change drastically. They start being more relaxed, more calmer, cleaner voice, more confident voice and everything. And I say to SDRs, don't ever devaluate your job and your services. So if you feel like you are annoying them, if you feel like you're not important, no, don't think that way, because you are important. You're as important as they are. I say to them, and the prospects, they should value SDRs because they make their life easier. As I say to the to the SDRs, especially new ones, yeah, over cold call, just to some sales, some tips. I tell them to be tactful, but still in control, because I previously mentioned that cold call is really a king of control. And then rehearse a lot. That's again already covered there, but rehearsing is everything, especially recording their calls, and then let them listening their own calls with them, obviously, and then tell them what's good, what's to improve. And then also one of the things they have to improve is looking for more hooks, especially when they are just beginners, just starters of cold calling. They're so focused on how they sound, what they tell. They're not listening to what their clients, prospects saying. Sometimes they don't listen to hooks. Like, for example, if a prospect saying, or we currently have a solution which only has a 1 hour data, for example, live data, which is renewed every 1 hour, and we need a 15-minute, which is like obviously shorter time. We need more advanced. And then you're like, oh my God, mine is doing 15 and 5 even. Okay, yes, cool. Mine is doing 15. Our solution is doing 15 minutes, or even shorter, doing 5 minutes. Like these kind of things to spot for as well is very important, to keep conversation going and to learn more. And then obviously, as I said, keep calling with purpose, not just because you need to, or SDR needs to get the quota of number of cold calls per day, which I had in my first company I started, but also calling with purpose of bringing value to the prospects. So then they're more prone to book the meetings. That's it about the business owner's mindset. Are there any questions?
Nothing in the chat, but if anybody has a question, they can come off mute.
Cool. I think that's fine.
Yep.
Let's crack on to cold call structure. And again, just to repeat myself, this is absolutely my own opinion about the cold call structure, and just please treat it as an opinion. So what I think is working, and when I teach my clients who are cold calling training clients, what is working for me is introducing yourself first, or themselves, but not like introducing, hi, I'm Oxana, can I have a call with you? No, not like this, like, but very, very confident as well. Hello, my name is Oxana Andrienko. I like using the surname because it's more presentable. And then you can say something, or the SDR can say something, representing company ABC. Representing is something I was actually trained to do on one of my 10 years ago cold call trainings. I really liked it because representing means that you are more presentable, I think, in my opinion at least. So representing a company ABC, and then ask for permission to speak. This is again questionable. Some of the trainings out there teach not to ask for permission because they can say no. Because I come from very aggressive sales. My first job back to 2011 was very aggressive sales. We were taught not to ask permission to talk, for clients to talk. We were taught to straight go to the topic. And that was aggressive. That felt aggressive. Back then, that felt normal. Now it feels aggressive to me because now I'm in such an industry. I'm in renewable energy, day-to-day job, and this is such a tactful industry. I was in oil and gas back then. I was selling conferences for oil and gas, and oil and gas is a very aggressive industry, and renewable energy is still energy, but it's so much more tactful, completely different. So for my industry and for all the tactful industries, ask for permission to speak to. If you are in aggressive industry such as conferences, trainings, whatever, like this big business conferences and trade shows, still quite aggressive industries, then maybe you shouldn't ask for permission. So again, questionable. And then yes, no. If no, then can we schedule a call later on at 2 p.m. tomorrow? What is it about? And then we obviously have a permission. What is it about? They ask the question, so you have a permission to talk now. Even if they say no, I'm not interested, I don't have time, then you can even be in control, rescheduling, and then if they ask what is it about, they already gave you permission to talk. You can talk what is it about, and then we go to stage 3, state the reason of your call. And this is, again, my opinion. I like stating reason of a call, and I teach all my employees to state the reason of a call straight away. Yes, I'm calling to help your SDR team to stop avoiding cold calls, to stop losing sales. I like to say that straight away. My previous boss, he let me do that, but he hated doing that himself. He never stated the reason of the call in the first call. He's like, we were looking for partnership. And then he's like, oh, because they would feel it's a sales call. I'm like, I'm a person who's calling from unknown number. They never talked to me before. They never heard my voice. They probably would guess it's a pitch anyway, even without me saying something like I'm calling you to solve your problem. They would still understand it's a cold call pitch without you naming the reason. So I'd rather name the reason straight away. And then we have qualification. So ask more questions, engage in the hooks. As I said before, look for the hooks, for the things they say about their current solution or what they're looking for, and then how you can help them. Your solution can help them to gain or to avoid losing something. I like avoid losing more than gain, because it's again connected to the brain. Avoid losing or stop losing. Losing is fear, like fear of losing something. And the brain straight away releases cortisol, the hormone of stress. And then when you say like, we'll help you avoid losing and then you can apply your solution, what problem it solves, then they would be more hooked biologically, because their cortisol will sort of start making them a little bit like fight, flight, and freeze mode, like when you're like panicking and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And then you're like, here's our solution. We can help you to avoid blah, 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 blah. Because when you say we can help you gain more, blah, 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 they're like, I don't have it now. Why should I have it later? But if they're feeling like, oh my God, I might lose something. Oh no, I don't want to lose anything. Our brain is working like that. So avoid losing is better. And then number 5, we explain in more details how we solve your problem, the client, the customers, the prospects problem. And then number 6, we finalize. Again, we're in control. We offer a meeting, or we offer, I like to say, an open discussion. Can we have an open discussion to see whether we're a good fit for each other? I really like this very good fit for each other, because the SDR saying that they actually questioning whether the prospect can be a good fit for them. So they're equalizing again this kind of like relationship. Again, business owner's mindset working. Yeah, shall we do that? Okay, how about tomorrow 2 p.m.? So done. Again, completely my structure, which works for us. But again, if somebody disagrees, absolutely good. That means that you guys or your SDRs have their own structure. Any questions?
No questions in the chat?
Perfect.
Yeah, I think you can good to keep going.
Cool. So we've got 2 more slides. They're really nice ones in terms of very easy to comprehend, because we're going towards the end. So 7 touch points to make a cold call a bit warmer. This is for people who for SDRs who are new, maybe they're new and they're really petrified of cold calling, and you still like them for some reason as an SDR leader. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so just for people who struggling with cold calls and they just don't like, still, regardless of what you taught them in my previous presentation, they're still reluctant. There is this technique of 7 touch points when you teach them to go to LinkedIn and connect to their prospect on LinkedIn. Then in a couple of days, drop them a cold email, which is okay, can create an illusion of control. That's fine. Although we discussed it already, but okay. But don't only limit yourself with emails for them. Just tell or teach your SDRs to do other things, like liking post on LinkedIn of the prospect, or dropping a prospect a LinkedIn message. And then you do it. Obviously, you tell them to do it within 2-3 days. Otherwise, they would feel like the prospects would feel like they're being stalked by the SDR. We don't want that. And then after all of these steps, they probably, when the SDRs call them, the prospects, they would be like, "Hi, Mr. Prospect, I'm John from ABC, and I just read your, we just connected a couple of days ago on LinkedIn, and I just read your article about this and this, and then yeah, you remember I commented, yeah, okay, cool, that's me." So they sort of maybe would remember them. If not, then just like proceed cold calling as normal. But at least they tried to make sure that the people remember them. And then the last slide. This is the mindfulness slide. As I mentioned, I'm a mental health first aider, and when I started in 2011, we had zero mindfulness. All we had was like call. So much change has happened right now. So we have these techniques which help everyone be less stressed out at work, and for them to their work to be less stressful. So first of all, stress is a psychological response to fear, and it's absolutely normal to feel stress for a person to feel in a small amount. If it goes for bigger amounts, then there is a problem, of course. And also the stress switches on or activates fight, flight, and freeze mode. For example, it's good. It is a very good mode when you are running away from a crocodile in the jungle. You have to flight, obviously, do the flight mode. Or if a kangaroo is punching you in Australia, you have to fight back. So it's really good for surviving. But if this mode is constantly with SDRs or sales managers or whoever is in sales, it can cause problems. It can cause mental problems such as depression, and this is deep clinical disorder which has to be treated professionally. So in order to avoid this, there are tips on how to act if you see, as an SDR leader, you see signs of stress of your employees. For example, their pitches are low on energy, lower than usual pitches, or they are easily irritated more than usual, or they're late for work constantly, not one time, but like constantly, or they're unusually quiet when they're very cheerful, or they don't fulfill the quota on a couple of months, 3 months basis, or they're sad and angry, anything which is out of normal for them, for their behavior, then you probably should speak to them, and you probably should navigate them in how to avoid this, because this might be the stress of not closing enough deals, not booking enough meetings. And one of the techniques which you can try with them, or you can just introduce them to this, and they can do it at home because it's very personal. It's called stress container technique. So this technique, you can see on the screen here, the green container is, everyone has a stress container, is our mental state, how we feel mentally, and when the container is empty, that means that we're cheerful, we're happy, everything's good. But in everyday life, your train was late, your stress container is filling in a little bit. And at work, the computer is not working, and you have to, open Salesforce, it's not working, it's under maintenance, another stress. And then you spill the coffee in your t-shirt, another stress. So they fill in. And then if not emptying, because we have a small tap, but lots of people don't empty the stress container, so then they fill in, and then they overflows, and then there's depression, there is anxiety, and everything. So in order to avoid this quite critical conditions, we need to empty stress containers. And in order to empty them, there are coping mechanisms. There are unhelpful and helpful coping mechanisms, and we do it actually by intuition. We sometimes feel so stressed out, we're like, oh my god, I need to just go out for 5-minute walk, I just so stressed, I need to go out. This is really helpful. Going for a walk outside is a really helpful technique, really easy one. For 5 minutes, just breathe fresh air, or CT, congested air with fumes if you work in the city. But still, just breathe this air and just unwind. Another one which is good as well, going to the gym, doing exercise, and it's after work, of course. Even at work, you can do light exercise. You can do like 10 squats, right? You can do forward fold, and then you can deep breathe. You can do shoulders. You can do head shake, and then just to stretch a little bit for 5 minutes. It releases endorphins, which act like painkillers and mood boosters, and then it releases dopamine as well, which is linked to motivation and reward. So happy hormones, they call them. Unhelpful coping mechanism are drinking, smoking. I'm not even telling why. Eating a pack of crisps, for example, is also unhelpful. Why? Because it has refined carbs, and refined carbs short term will give you these dopamines, which are reward and motivation hormones, but then because it will spike your sugar levels, because refined carbs spike blood sugar levels, then it will give you more anxiety at the end. So refined carbs spike sugar levels in the blood, gives you more anxiety. Not helpful. Eat fruit instead. Why fruit is helpful? Because it also helps releasing dopamine as a good hormone, but it also has potassium and magnesium. For example, like kiwi, banana, fig, or melon. They really rich on potassium and magnesium, and they kill stress. They kill anxiety, absolutely, or overall. So if you eat banana or kiwi, your anxiety levels will be reduced. And then yes, just speak to your or speak to your SDR about it. Try to tell them, like, let's go together to Sainsbury's, like, let's grab some bananas together. Already going out for walk, grabbing banana. Two helpful coping mechanisms. Yeah, so that's sort of concludes my presentation for today. And thank you so much for listening. Any questions, happy to reply. Otherwise, really appreciate being here today. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I see some people come off mute. If anybody has a question.
Yeah, I've got one. So, Oksana, thank you very much. Really like the perspective and the fresh insight. Question I had was, in the contemporary situation of AI being positioned as a huge productivity gain for SDRs, the potential of people hiding behind AI and maybe overusing AI to the detriment of cold calling. Any kind of formulas you suggest for the cohabitation between AI tools and old-fashioned cold calling?
Thank you so much, David. Really useful question, and it's a really debate for another 45 minutes or more. In my professional opinion, I think we should utilize AI as a helper, but we shouldn't utilize AI. Again, my opinion. I might be really like controversial here or something. People might not agree, but I feel like we shouldn't utilize AI as an ultimate cold caller. Because there is nothing. I might be really old school, because again, I'm like this dinosaur who worked as SDR in 2011. But I feel like there's nothing more productive and useful for the business as a person over cold call over the phone, which says this good sentences about how good their product is. I feel like the AI is really should be used as for SDRs to train themselves. For example, if there isn't enough stuff to train them face to face, if there isn't like a in-house team to train them, to rehearse, I think for rehearsal is really good. For even objection handler, because I've got my training on objection handling, and AI can come up with some objections for the SDR, and then the SDR can deflect them, or SDR can try to solve the objections, and then AI can give them more objections. This is really good for training. But for real life calls, I would say just real people. So this cohabitat, I think, in my opinion, can work really nicely. But just don't substitute real life conversation in real life for AI. Again, if anyone else has any other opinions, happy to hear.
No, I think we're good. Oksana, thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Really, really interesting perspective. And thank you ever so much, everybody, for staying on until the end, and really appreciate you. And we'll have this up on our YouTube channel later to make sure that you like and subscribe, hit the buttons, all that stuff. And thanks ever so much, Oksana. Have a great rest of the day.
David, I've got a question actually, David. Is there a chance to somehow save the comments, because I would like to read them, because I didn't see them whilst I was presenting, or is there not an option to save the comments in the file or something?
Yeah, they're stored in Zoom at the end.
Okay, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I'll get those over
Amazing.
to you.
Thank you so much. Other than that, thank you everyone for listening, and